Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Parking Ratio 155, and it says, would I be the arsehole if I told my mum that her dogs are the only ones not allowed on family vacation? My mum has two half Yorkie, half Maltese dogs. These dogs are my mum's world. The problem is they are obsessed with food. They will go to any lengths to get human food. It started with a bag of barbecue potato chips on my kitchen counter, ripped open and devoured, leaving a huge barbecue dust mess. Next was an entire pizza that was snatched off the table the moment I went to grab sodas from the kitchen. In the span of less than a minute, when I returned, half the pizza was gone. The dogs were standing in the other half of the pizza, and there was pizza sauce all over my carpet. Next get together, they found their way inside, even though I asked my mum to keep them in the backyard. They got into my kitchen and tore open 2 bags of hamburger buns and ate around $40 worth of seasoned raw hamburger meat and a block of cheddar cheese. At this point, I told my mother her dogs were not allowed at my home. She has stopped coming by altogether, which does hurt my feelings because if it's a choice between her kid and the dogs, she will always pick the dogs. I'm planning a family vacation, booked a nice cabin for the whole family to stay in. My sister is bringing her dog, well-behaved female pit, so I know it's going to be an issue when I tell my mum her dogs are not allowed to come with us. I don't want to spend the whole weekend making sure not a single scrap of food is left out for even a second, otherwise her dogs will tear it apart and potentially make a huge mess in the cabin I paid the deposit on. My sister told me to just tell my mum that she has to keep a close eye on her dogs, and I've tried that before and she's proven time and time again that she's either unable or unwilling to control her dog's behaviour. Would I be the arsehole if I tell my mum her food-crazed dogs are not allowed on family vacation, even though another dog will be there? Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation, and you've been quite patient to be quite honest in this. Your mum's allowing this destructive behaviour instead of actually training them, and allowing them to do this is just a huge disservice because letting them think that jumping up on the counters and taking food whenever they want is acceptable. You know, it's quite simple that well-behaved dogs get invited places and unruly ones don't. She's choosing to isolate herself and her dogs rather than deal with the actual issue here. Commodore says not the arsehole, but just say no dogs to avoid hurt feelings. Is that an option? Opie says, so my sister's dog Lola, the beautiful Pitty, gets pretty horrible separation anxiety. Last time my sister left her at a kennel, she was banned from the establishment for behavior problems. Other than that, she's a saint. I don't want her to be punished because of my mum's dog's behavior. Commodore says, nope, not the arsehole. If your mum is going to insist on her feral destructo mutts being included, she needs to book the accommodations and be responsible for the deposit. Otherwise, she's just going to have to be content with staying in the doghouse. Even if she does step up for that, I wouldn't share accommodations with animals that are so out of control. Sorry, not sorry, but I wouldn't tolerate every meal turning into a battle to keep my food. Opie says destructo mutts made me laugh. Commodore says, and I bet mum would blame everyone else if the dogs ate something dangerous that made them sick or killed them. Opie says my mum has bragged that her dogs ate half a box of chocolate covered cordial cherries and didn't get sick. I'm worried she thinks they can't get sick. Opie on their mother's reactions to the dog's behavior and says, it's the same excuse every time. They are hungry. They can tell we're eating. And she doesn't really clean up after them. But that might be my fault. She kind of stares at the mess and like, oops, there's a mess. So I ended up springing into action so nothing stains or gets more spread around than it already is. Opie on their mother's dog finding ways to the hamburgers. Opie says, where there is a will, there is a way. And these dogs will find a way. With the hamburger situation, I'm pretty sure they pulled out a drawer to use as a halfway point just to get up on my counter. They are smart as hell and like tiny acrobats, but all they care about is finding food. Someone says, are the dogs house trained? Opie says, they are house trained and very friendly with people and other animals. The only thing I can say against them is that they are food goblins 100% of the time. Opie comes in with her first update and says packing up at the end of the vacation. A few of you asked me to update on what happened. I don't know how to copy links, so I guess click on my profile to read the old post. I don't know how Reddit works, you all are smart enough to figure it out. Took the coward's way out and asked my dad to break it to her that her dogs weren't invited. He wasn't happy about it, but he said he gets it. Then he told me some mildly disturbing stuff that he was just laughing off. Like they had bought a locked bread box for pastries on the counter that had been chewed to pieces in order to get to the cinnamon rolls inside, and showed me a picture of the bottom of their fridge that had been extensively chewed like the dogs were desperately biting and clawing to get inside. He stated he loves the dogs too, but he could understand why someone wouldn't want them around during vacation. Dad reported Mum took it well, and the dogs will stay over at their neighbours, who they're good friends with. I was relieved. Everyone showed up and started unpacking except my mum, who my dad said was tying things up at the house, and she would be by later. Oh, my spider senses are tingling here. Mum didn't show up that night and I missed her. The next day, Mum did show up, but, as many commenters suspected, brought her dogs with her. They tried to play it off as nothing, giving out hugs and smiles, but I was upset. I also tried to play it cool, but I told her dogs were not to enter the cabin, and they could not stay the night. She waved me off, yeah, okay, I get it. It was fine for a few hours, but then I noticed some dirty napkins were floating around in the breeze. I discovered that the garbage bag we had tied to the picnic table had the bottom ripped out and paper plates had been shredded and licked clean. I cleaned up the mess furious and confronted my mother and told her that's exactly why the dogs weren't invited. My mum tried to blame my sister's dog for the mess. You didn't see what happened, it could have been her. I told her that there was no way I would blame Lola for the mess since her dogs are known for doing this kind of thing. My mum clammed up and said, fine, I will just take them home, and left with the dogs. My dad wasn't happy after that, saying I didn't have any proof and I went too hard on her. My uncle thought it was funny, and he was glad to not have the little bastards trying to steal his hot dog. Bloody uncles. It put a damper on the whole trip. I just feel like an idiot for trying to make this work in the first place. I miss my mum and I wanted to make family memories, but it really does feel like the dogs and my mum are a package deal now, and asking her to leave them even for a short time was never an option. A lot of people said this in the comments. I don't think I was ready to hear it yet. Thanks for being so responsive, and the comments really did help me see the reality of the situation I'm in now. OP clarifies on planning the vacation at the time of the original post and says, vacay was planned and ready to go. Only thing I hadn't handled was my mum and her dogs. I thought waiting to talk to her would stop her from being able to get into my dad's head and try to change my mind. But now I'm starting to think that no matter what I told her, the dogs were going to show up anyway. So when I made the post, if I'm being honest, it was the first night of vacation. Mum didn't show up and I started to feel really guilty that I had excluded her somehow from the family. I really thought she was going to show up that night at some point, but she never did. I was sort of using the comments to feel better that I'd taken a sort of stand against her, even if it was through my dad. I wanted to see if people would say I was an arsehole. It was obvious to me my dad and sister were upset that she wasn't there and that it was my fault. Commenter says not the arsehole, a little off topic, but are those dogs okay? It sounds like they're being starved or locked in crates all day long with no way of getting the energy out. Like what your dad said is some extreme shit. Those dogs will die horrible deaths if they're just left to eat trash in the fridge. I'd shame the hell out of my mum every single time I saw her. Opie says people are asking about if my parents are starving their dogs, so I'll say, I don't think so. They're quick and small, but they've also got some chunk on them. I think it's more that they only eat people food. I've never seen either of my parents feed them dog food. It's always some kind of scraps from their plate. They might be giving them dog food at home, I just haven't seen it. And OP comes in with what they title their final update and says, final update to would I be the arsehole if I told my mum that her dog are the only ones not allowed on family vacation. Things have escalated and I'm done. Just gonna jump right in and try to keep it short. I talked with my sis about the chance of my mum's dogs getting sick or dying from eating out of the trash. My mum has always gotten along better with my sister, so I asked her if there was any point in trying to talk to her about getting her dogs trained. She set up a dinner at Wingstop for the three of us. I directly asked my mum at dinner if she fed her dogs dog food or only people food. She got offended and said yes, of course I feed them 2 cups of food for lunch and dinner. I told her that 4 cups of food was already a lot of food for 2 small dogs on top of getting table scraps. My mum said she didn't want to discuss her dogs any further, but my sister jumped in and said that the dogs were why she invited her. She said that she had done some research on dog trainers and found an affordable program. She offered to pay for it in full. All my mum would have to do is take them. My mum said that was very generous of her, but didn't accept or deny it. My mum started looking nervous and said that she had forgotten to do something and needed to take off early. I thought, well, we tried, let her leave. My sister followed her outside and I settled the bill. When I left, I saw my mum and sister were still there and her dogs were doing small laps around my mum's legs. I was extremely confused. I just kind of stood there dumbfounded like, how the hell did they get here? My sister was yelling at my mum. I would never do something like this to Lola. This is completely unacceptable. My mum yelled back that it's less than 60 degrees out and it's nighttime. They were fine. My sister fired back, so if we hadn't made you mad, how long would you have just left them out there while we were eating? My mum ignored her, grabbed their dogs in a huff and left. My sister was fuming, saying she was lucky nobody saw her dogs in the car, otherwise my mum would be dealing with the police. I wish I could say I was surprised that my mum had left the dogs in the car, but I wasn't. I've texted her a couple of times since then, but she's not responding to anything from my sister or I send her. I won't be updating again. Everyone is mad at each other and I don't see anything positive coming out of this situation. I'm going to take the advice of some of the commenters and just let her go. I tried my best to include and help her, and it only made everything more awful. The top commenter on that one said, your mum seems to have lost all reason when it comes to the dogs, and she is not caring for them properly. Is this standard behaviour from your mum or something new and exciting to deal with? Opie says she's always been soft-spoken but extremely stubborn. Like you can tell her something and she will say, oh yeah, okay, but she's just going to do whatever she was going to do in the first place. We had cats as kids, so the dogs are a new addition to the situation. Commenter replies saying, I'm going to ask this, but please understand that the sleepy edible just kicked in, so the phrasing might not come across the best. It's coming from a good place though. Growing up, did you guys get what you needed emotionally, physically, all that stuff you needed from her? Her being this weird about the dogs is giving some do-over energy, and I want to make sure that if that's the case, you're supported in whatever she's feeling this guilty about. Opie says, I'm not sure if that's the case or not, to be honest with you. When we were kids, my parents were super into poker, and they both worked full-time, so I didn't see them very much. I started to learn to make casseroles and hamburger helper for dinner, because oftentimes it would just be me and my sister. When I was 6, I noticed my mum stopped doing my laundry, so I started doing it for myself. Teachers would ask me why I didn't have a lunch packed. Truth was, my mum and dad didn't do or make me do it, so I just didn't do it. I don't think she feels bad about it though. I brought this stuff up to her before and she said it sounds like a pretty normal childhood. Commenter says, you'll be back with a final update when one of the dogs chokes on a bone, because that's what it is eventually going to come to, sadly. Opie says, I really hope not, but I think you're right. Ugh, that's incredibly, brutally sad. Your mum is just straight up neglecting those dogs while claiming that they're her world. Leaving them in the car during dinner, letting them chew through appliances, the fridge, bread bin. You know, that's not love. That's, again, enabling that destructive behavior that could and might possibly kill them. And the childhood comment was interesting, but it explains a lot about her behavior. She checked out as a parent when you were 6. And it feels in some ways that it's almost repeating with these dogs, you know, providing the bare minimum while calling it some kind of love or devotion or something. You had to raise yourself and your sister, and now you're watching her fail these animals too. That's got to be rough. And I agree with you, just let her go. And those dogs deserve absolutely better. Part of me is wondering, is it possible to contact someone about these animals? I mean, it will go nuclear from the mum's perspective, but to protect them, I'm not sure of the ins and outs of that sort of thing. Just throwing stuff out because I feel for those dogs. But what do you guys make of this situation? Put yourself in OP's shoes. How would you deal with it? What options are there? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story is one that we have covered in the past, but there's an update that we haven't covered before. So as always, I'm going to read the initial parts of the story. So if you do want to skip certain parts of it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. Now, this story comes from Get a Life, who says, told my wife, female 35, that she couldn't do it without me, male 34. Turns out, she can. My wife and I don't fight much, and when we do fight, we usually communicate well afterwards and things go back to normal. I brag to my friends about how reasonable my wife is, and her ability to communicate and empathize is something I deeply admire. She doesn't hold grudges. She talks me through my rough times, until now. Due to a fire, my wife is out of work, but still earning her salary. Thanks, insurance. We decided she would stay at home with our young son while out of work. She doesn't love child rearing, which is something we knew going into having kids. Honestly, it's hard to tell. She's a great mum, present and loving, even when I can see she's struggling inside. I give my wife a lot of breaks. We co-parent, split bedtime routines for our 2 kids. We both pull our weight. Yesterday was a snow day. My daughter was home with my wife and son. I was working from home downstairs all day. I helped my daughter with cyber school until noon. My wife was with my son in the snow all morning, plowing the drive and sidewalks, etc., maintaining the house. My daughter joined them, and from the sound of things and some videos, she brought her friends over for playing and hot chocolate. I worked until around 5, and when I went upstairs, it was chaos. My wife was doing laundry and helping my daughter, who fell and hurt herself on the ice. She sent home the friends and we had dinner. I did the cleanup, and right after finishing, keep in mind I've been downstairs working all day, not even a bathroom break after noon. I go into the playroom and my wife approaches me and it goes like this. She says, "Hey, can I go lay down for a bit?" OP then says, the maybe offense I admit I made a face and said, "I haven't gone to the bathroom all day and I put cookies in the oven." And then says I can tell I messed up just by the face she gave me. She said, "Fine, never mind, forget I asked, heaven forbid." Now, I'm sensing some attitude and know I've misstepped here, so I say, "No, it's fine, I'll take care of it all. Go take a break." To my complete shock, in front of our kids, who I admit aren't paying us much attention, but are still close, my wife says, I said, "Never fucking mind. I've been running around on my feet all day watching our kids and other people's kids, and heaven fucking forbid I ask for 20 minutes to myself." I again say, "Go take a break, I told you it was fine." But she's clearly lost her marbles and is seeing red. She starts cleaning up and helping with the kids, and I do too. I try to overcompensate, but she just took over caring for them, and they listened to her. In the hall I said, "I think you forget I work all day." And she viciously says, "Thanks for reminding me, I almost forgot." I feel like an ass. I get that she works hard caring for the kids, but I work hard too. I think not having a job and escape is making her reaction to this fight worse. She texted me the next day with her usual communication. She expressed how upset she felt with my behavior and the way I acted towards her. She says she was feeding and taking care of 6 kids all day in the snow alone and still cleaned the entire house and deep cleaned our craft room. I explained that I'm stressed at work and I didn't get why she was so upset since I offered her a break, but she said, "I don't want your pity breaks." She ended it with, "Thanks for the apology by the way." Which, yeah, I didn't exactly apologize, but for what? And then she asked for the number to my daughter's piano teacher. The piano teacher was the only activity that I managed for my kids. I found out she texted her asking to go through my wife from now on, as she'd be managing the schedule. Normally my wife would text me asking if I can get my daughter from dance on my way home yesterday. I do this every week. I didn't hear anything, and when I got home I found out my wife dropped and picked her up. I confronted my wife with, "I am very present with my children. Do not make me out to be an absent father." My wife responded with, "If I didn't manage and ask for help, you'd see them a quarter of the time you do now, and I'm done managing you." I get it. I should have just smiled and agreed when she asked for help, but this is extreme. She's having a fit and trying to ice me out of my relationship with my kids. It's so petty. It's like I don't even know this woman. Gone is the reasonable level-headed communicator. So if you've made it this far, thank you, and please tell me if I'm wrong here. Someone said to OP that his wife is stressed. OP says, "Thanks for the response. Her reaction is so out of left field. She really is usually the most reasonable person I know. It's been stressful for her, and I admit I'm also stressed at my job that I didn't see it. I figured a few months off paid would be a luxury. But yeah, now I see having 6 kids and a toddler alone all day might be as luxurious as a barrel of hair. Guess it's my turn to be the empathetic, reasonable one. She's done it enough for the both of us. OP on being told to take the initiative and give the wife a break and says, "You're 100% right. I normally do say that." She asks me for a break at least 3 times a week, to take a bath or go read, and I almost always immediately say yes. It's just an off moment, and I know I reacted poorly, but she's completely trying to ice me out. I had to argue with her this morning just to let me take my kid to school because she said she'd do it. And the kids just went along clinging to her, and then when I pushed back, my kids started crying for her. She had to calm him down and insist going with dad is fun, just to undo what she did. He was fine with going with me, but it's messy and so unnecessary. I'm scared with her behaviour. I love my wife and I don't want to push her away. OP then adds about his wife's schedule and says, "My wife has 2 days during the week without my son or daughter. She's been painting the house and deep cleaning. My son has gone from 8 to 2 and my daughter 9 to 3, Monday and Friday both. I think the snow day broke her, but hopefully she'll come around and be sensible. I've never known her to ice me out or stop communicating, and it's freaking me out. It's a little bit why I think there is more to this fight." So OP comes in with her first update and says, "I made one stupid selfish comment to my wife a week or so ago, and now my life is in disarray. My wife is in some crisis. Her work is closed and she's being paid, but she's home with our kids now, including one 3-year-old. She gets breaks on Monday and Friday with childcare. We went into having kids knowing she wanted to be a working mother. So this has been an adjustment, to say the least. On to the original fight. She spent a long day with our kids and the neighbouring kids, and when I came upstairs from work and she asked for a break, I didn't respond well. I made excuses and didn't offer help, and for the first time in years, my wife lost her temper and cursed at me. Like an idiot, I dug in and thought I was right. I admit we both said some unkind things. But after Reddit humbled me and she made me sit down and write a list of things I did for the family that day and compared it with her longer list, I apologized. She accepted and I figured things would go back to normal. They haven't. My wife used to include me in the parenting of our kids. I did dance pickup most weeks and bedtime was split. I gave baths, made dinner, all the stuff. Since our fight, my wife hasn't asked me for any help with the kids. The first morning I woke up on what was supposed to be my morning with the kids. I figured she was just being nice or trying to prove a point, but it keeps happening. She didn't even send them down to say goodnight last night. Normally my wife does this silly game where she sends my son to ask me to read 5 books, and then we would negotiate down to 1 or 2 and race upstairs. Last night I heard her racing him and came up to find her doing bedtime yet again. The kids haven't even noticed. It's like she's replacing me. When we were fighting, I said something really dumb that's living inside of me and festering. My wife was being nasty and said, "You wouldn't see the kids quarter as much as you do if I didn't arrange it, and I'm done managing you." I defended myself. I'm not an absent parent, and said something along the lines of, "I'd like to see how long you can manage without me." Consider my foot officially in my mouth. She started running again. She's cooking really healthy and often. Every night I come home to my perfectly happy Stepford wife doing it all without me, and I feel empty inside. How do I fix this? I don't even know where to begin. At this point, I want to beg her to go back to how things were. This wasn't what we agreed on. Commenter says to OP, says, "I don't know. Step up? Get involved without her organizing it or instructing you. Are you really this daft?" OP says it's difficult when they prefer her and she seems to do everything better than me. I work often as well. It helps to have her give me a heads up on the plan with the kids, but I'm getting now that maybe that's done and over with. Lady says, "But he doesn't know what to do. If she doesn't send a kid to him with an instruction of what books and how many are to be read, how is he supposed to know what to do?" OP, that wasn't a silly game. That was a woman noticing you were never going to just go read your own kid a book. So she made it into a game for the child. So the child doesn't have to watch his mum come over to dad and say, "Please read him a book," For the love of God, please. Because that would give the kid an inkling that you are not doing it out of your own free will. And if not instructed, you would not do it ever. And that would be upsetting. Opie replies saying, okay, I admit, this hit me hard. Fuck, man. Do you really think that's what the game is? I hate that it makes sense to me. Opie once again was told to do more, and then replies saying, I'm fucking confused, okay? I had this perfect life with an amazing successful wife and a great job. We juggled 2 careers and 2 kids like champions, always communicating who is where doing what activity, working together to manage the American dream of doing it all. Then my wife's job burns down and she's home all the time doing everything. She gets stressed and we fight, and now she's totally different. I don't give a fuck about warm meals and a Stepford wife. I want my wife, my partner, my teammate, and yes, my fucking manager back. She was amazing, and now I managed to fuck it up like always by sticking my foot in my mouth. She's still perfect, only now I know she's not doing what she wants, that I have failed her in some way that seems to have broken her, or maybe fixed her. I don't know. Like I said, I'm confused and apparently an idiot. Someone said to OP that maybe his wife just wants an equal partner, and OP says, you won't believe me anyways. I've been with my wife since we were kids, 15 or 16. I know this woman. She loved doing it all and she was amazing at it. She always bragged about being a working mum, but she never put down women that stayed home. Her mother was a stay-at-home mum that got married super young. My wife didn't want that life. We used to joke about her earning more than me so I could stay home. She never complained about the kids' schedule either. She did drop-offs at daycare and I did pickups. We had a rhythm and flow. I think not being home during the day with them made us soak in the time at night more than maybe I did. I don't know, but I honestly think she was happy. OP again talks about the wife's work schedule and says, my wife works with animals and makes her own schedule. She can schedule days off whenever, so she is more flexible. She is home to take the kids into daycare and then I'd pick them up and drop them off at my mum's, and my wife would get them around 4. She does not need to work. I pay the majority of the bills. My wife's job earns less, but that doesn't make it less worthy. She actually affects the world. I just type at the computer all day and deal with air emissions. My wife works to pay for daycare. It's her big expense. I do mortgage and everything else. She also uses her money to buy stuff. She has full access to my account and often transfers money when low. I do not have access to her account. It's a personal boundary of my wife's that she always has her own private money. I don't need or want that myself, so she manages most of the finances. My wife has traumas about being stuck as a homemaker and baby maker. Opie then adds an edit to the post and just says, fuck guys, I get it. I'm a piece of shit. I'm gonna make this right. Edit 2. Thank you to the handful of people that reached out with advice. Believe it or not, I do want to be a good father and husband. I've royally fucked up and I see that and fully admit it. This is going to be my only edit, then I'm going to get off my phone for a while and focus my attention on my family. My wife had dinner cooked when I got home. Everything is fine between us, so there wasn't any tension. After we cleaned up, I went upstairs and ran my wife a bath, put Taylor Swift on her Alexa and lit a few candles. I told her to go relax upstairs for the night. She was surprised but smiled and went on her way. I'm currently on the toilet watching my kids take a bath. People mention love bombing, etc. I'm just trying anything I can to show her I do appreciate and love her and our family, and I want to be a present father. I'm going to do bedtime tonight and probably all next week. I tell her she does so much during the day and deserves the break because it's the truth. I get that I come off as an arsehole. I grew up in a not great situation and didn't have the best role models growing up. I'm terrified of my children not having enough, and I overcompensate by working too much. This new job came with a big pay increase, but the hours are longer, and I feel like I can never keep up. I've reached out to a few recruiters tonight. I used to love my job and was always home by 4:30, even if it means taking the lost income. I'm thinking about going back. Relationships are hard and humans aren't perfect. But all the people telling me my kids don't love me and I'm a waste of space. I don't know guys, just remember I'm an actual person. That shit's rough. Anyways, that's all I have for you folks. I need to watch these kiddos and start planning out my long road of groveling and reconnecting. Thanks all. Opie then started adding some comments updating on what was happening and says, back on after a while and I see this comment right away. Thanks for asking. The update is slow moving. My wife and I had a few nights of talking and crying, and that helped make us stronger. I know everyone hates me, but I do love my wife, and she has never expressed an unequal workload before this fight. I would have put effort into learning about it and fixing it. As it stands, we agreed to therapy. My wife, feeling like a reaction to our fight was out of her norm and wants to start her own therapy to help. I fully support that. I also do weekly therapy and find it helpful. Boy, was this week fun for my therapist. Anyways, I look deep into weaponized incompetence and unequal mental workloads and have come to realize I'm essentially another head to manage for my wife. We agreed to be partners in this for life, and somewhere along the line I lost that thread. She still claims she wants to manage our schedules, but I don't want to be that husband or father. I've always thought that my wife was amazing and looked up to her. What would wife's name do is my motto. I want to be more like her, so I need to learn how to manage myself and my time and my kids' time without her help. I've asked her to take on the parenting responsibilities 100%. I didn't realize she needed to do so much shit. It's been eye-opening. I don't know how long we will keep this up either. My wife isn't the biggest fan of handing over the reins. Reddit's hate has lit a fire under my ass. Having so many outside people looking into the situation and simultaneously getting the ick from me has been humbling. Opie adds again saying, I think I'm going to go with what my wife and I decided in terms of deciding what's realistic or sincere. I wanted to see what it felt like to be 100% in control of everyone's schedule and making sure to take care of it. It's incredibly difficult to constantly be reminding myself of the time and who needs what and when, but it's also been humbling and rewarding. We both know that it won't last forever, and we'll be back to finding our new healthy medium. Things won't go back to before, and they won't stay like this forever. But for now, I'm taking over doctors and school duty, and when we sign up my son for kindergarten next year, I'll be doing all the work for that and making sure I'm fully involved in the things I missed with my daughter. I'm going to be a better dad, and that's just final. Opie then adds another update and said, it's been a minute since I bothered with Reddit. But when I logged in, it seemed that some people care for an update. It's not exciting. I've taken a lot of time to really look at the man I've become. My wife and I are 100% back to being a team, but I've realized I wasn't stepping up the way I always wanted to. I promised my wife a partnership, and even though it's been a month or so since our fight and my wife keeps asking me to forget it happened, I can't. My therapist is helping me sort through my overthinking. My wife started therapy because of the stress of losing her work, temporarily, and staying home has caused. Her issues appear to stem from feeling useless without bringing in a paycheck and was taking on too many tasks at home to overcompensate. She doesn't feel like she deserves breaks, and when she takes them, she feels awful about herself and like she's lazy. Coming from the least lazy person I know, I can tell she's struggling, and I've been supporting her the best I can. I have to make sure she knows that I think she deserves breaks. So when I see her hyperfixating on cleaning the floorboards, I intervene gently by reminding her that this doesn't need to be doing right now, but that I will finish it for her while she does me a favor and takes a little break. Sometimes it works, and other times she tells me to stop fussing and leave her to work, and I do. It's been working well, and I don't mind the extra work, but the peace of mind it offers me. My wife is my everything, and her happiness is paramount. My kids are mostly clueless to all this. We don't involve them, and I must say I made a throwaway comment about my wife not loving child rearing, and received a lot of nasty comments about not having kids we don't want. I'm wary to dignify this with a response, but will say what I meant was that we agreed before having children that my wife would not be the sole support system for them, and that she would never feel obligated to quit working. My wife is fiercely independent due to her past, and a big part of her comfort in our relationship comes from her ability to leave it safely if she ever needed to. That trauma is hers, and I won't touch more on it other than to say I agreed to this aspect before we married and do not mind it. She should be an independent person. I'd want the same for my kids. So that's basically it. I've taken on the role as primary parent. I get my kids to daycare and school and home, and while my wife helps half the time, it's now my responsibility to see who is doing what and coordinate things. I can't do it all in my head like her, but I have a chart that's been helping. She's rebelled at first but gave up the reins surprisingly easily. She needed a break. I also put my son back in full-time daycare, although my wife keeps springing him early. I can tell she likes the break. That's all I have for now. Thanks guys, and sorry it's not more dramatic. I know some of you all wanted my balls and were hopeful my wife would leave me. Well, I would be lost without her, and the thought makes me physically ill. It's nice to see people appreciating my wife the way she deserves and stand up for her so fiercely. Thanks all. And one last thing, I bought her this game Pal World on the computer. She hasn't gamed since having kids because of some preconceived conclusion it made her a bad parent, but I insisted she spend a few hours, and since I'd spent money, she did. I find her playing a lot to wind down when the day is over. It seems to be helping her more herself too. So thanks video games. I stand for a lot of assumptions on my character. And boy, have there been some nasty ones. But one thing I won't take is people saying I don't love my wife. She's my person, and it's my duty in life to make her happy. Baycat says, when he said the toddler cried for his mum, I was like, bud, that doesn't happen from nowhere, and she can't turn a toddler against you. The kid doesn't know you well enough to be with you when mum is upset. And there was a mix of comments after this one. Some people saying, it's good that he's taking some form of accountability, that he's looking inwards about this. Other people saying, even in the good update, he's still making her the problem, that she has issues and trauma, while, he's the sort of patient hero managing her feelings. Where in reality, it's like, sir, she was running your entire life and just finally got tired of it. But what do you guys make of this situation? How did that update make you feel? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. And don't forget, there'll be a couple of playlists at the end there that you can click on, and it will automatically scroll through all those videos for you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.